Okay, there we go. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee and Art in a rainy ATL day, which might be better for my lighting situation. So I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do. I think we might just pull out a prompt jar and draw some things, or I don't know. I have my big, scrolls here where we played in these with just prompts. If y'all have been around for these, this is just one of the ones where we just kind of like brainstormed ideas, drew a little bit, played with some ink, um, played with some stamping with the foam, made our own stamp with the not fun foam, but those foam blocks. Let's see what else. One of the prompts was draw a selfie, drew some little ladybugs. This was one of Jean's lists that we started. I blame Jean for all that. I blame Jean for everything. These were some I think I did these with thumb prints and then made little faces out of them. We did some wax crayon, so you're seeing that through. This is melted crayon. And just drew a little folded paper. So this is just a little bit of everything in here. And so this one's getting pretty full, so I have another half roll here. So if we do some prompts, I'll just start that one. But I've had some questions on the magazine journal, so hopefully the lighting is okay. It's okay, I guess. On the magazine journals that I talked about the other day. If y'all have any questions, put them, yeah, man, prompts. If y'all have any questions, put them in caps so that I can catch those. But anyway, so these were some of the magazine journals. I just pulled 3 of them here. This is the one I sort of showed a little bit the other day. And all it is, so let me just kind of explain. You can get it. It doesn't have to be 2 magazines. I've glued 2 together, and you can see. I'll tell you the trick about not having this happen. But you can glue 2 magazines together. I like the Somerset or the Somerset Studio Publication people, Stampington. They have like 20 different magazines. You know, they have stamping ones, art journaling, Somerset Studio, bloggers, home ones, and handbags, and they have like all kinds. And so I just have 2. I picked 2 that I had around and that I didn't need or want anymore, and I glued 2 together. The back cover of one to the front cover of the other. And I've done that with multiple magazine things. So this is a pretty new one here. And that's all it is. It's 2 magazines of your, like if you're a gardener, you might pick 2 gardening magazines, flower magazines, fashion magazines. Although the fashion magazines are very, very thin. You can still do this, but your pages will probably really wrinkle because it is very thin. It's the other magazines that have, and they're not like, it's not like extra quality paper or anything, but it's better than just the fashion magazines, which usually tend to have the cheapest, thinnest pages, which is great if you're doing collage. You know, those thin pages are great to collage. But what I'm doing with these is like painting, and you know, you can even journal in them if you want with like a Bic pen over the acrylic paint. So what it is, you just glue 2 together of any kind of choice of magazine as you like. And what you do is, let me find a good sample one, is you paint around, maybe this one. You paint around the images that are on there with colors that either coordinate or match the colors in the images. And what that does is it gives you a full cohesive page to journal on, or even work on more collage or whatever else you want to do further. But it makes you start to think about color combinations and trying to match the colors that are in the images, just to kind of color play, basically. That's what I like these for. And I haven't worked in them for quite a while, probably at least a year, because I've just been doing other art projects. But I have had requests for showing these a little bit and explaining them. Now, because every page will end up being painted, I did pull something out here, or maybe it just came loose. Every page is pretty much painted. So when you do that, oh, I see what it is. I had this torn out for something and then I taped it back in. I don't know. No, don't ask why I deconstructed this one. But what I wanted to say is if you work in one of these where you're painting every single page, you need to work some in the front, some in the back, some in the front, some in the back, so that your spine does not warp. This one, I really kind of just went front to back, and you can see what happens to the spine. It will warp like that, and you really never can get it back, no matter how much you smash it down and put books on top of it. It's really not ever going to get back. Not that that matters to me so much, because it's just a play-in. But if that kind of thing bothers you, you need to do some paint in the front and some in the back, so that it kind of gets wet at the same rate, front and back, and then you won't get that warped spine. This one, it did it a little bit on this one. You can see there. But if you don't want that, again, now this one is just kind of pretty new. This one has 3 magazines in it, so this one will end up probably being about that thick in the end because they puff up. The pages are going to puff up, and so those 3 magazines will probably double. And so it'll be real puffy, which I like that. I don't mind that. But if you don't want the spine to warp, work some in the front, some in the back. Now, that's just to paint the pages. If you've got your pages painted and then you want to actually use it for a journal or sketching in or something like that, it doesn't matter about, you can start from the front and work your way to the back. But the initial painting of the pages, you really need to go front, back for them that to happen. So just want to explain that real quick. So some of these are kind of personal, so I won't show every one. But I'll kind of show, I did a table of contents there. Let's see. So, okay, so here's a good example. And you can use other things too. I used a little bit of washi tape, and I just stuck this page in here because I like this calendar bit. Kind of went along with this. That was after the fact. That was after I painted all this in. If y'all have any questions, just ask, because I'm not sure, what to. I try to cover everything, but I might miss something that somebody's thinking, well, what about so-and-so? Or yeah, I like puffy books too, Rain. All right, so what it is that you just, you paint around the images. I'll probably try to find one here and give you an example. And you can paint it, scrape it, blend it. I love blending everything with collage, in my collage cards, my art journaling and all that. So let's just kind of see here. So this is glued on separately. I stamped there. I did that. So you can, this is kind of like beyond just the painting part. I started putting some things on top. So you can kind of see, trying to keep the glare off. I did all this brickwork. So you can just kind of see, like this image, that drawer was there. This little mannequin bit was there. These spools were there. And then I painted that. I added stamping. I added some collage stuff, stamping, collage, So it can be multiple things. If you like this, it's fun too. I'm just, I got a few kind of personal pages that I'm just kind of like, skipping over. Okay, here's another one. These were here. These plants were here, and so all the paint you can see, all the painted parts. The word creating was already there. These are the art Somerset. I don't know which one it was. It's not Somerset Studio because I don't glue those. It could have been the blog one. It could have been, I don't remember, because I painted it all over. But hey, Paula. You made one 4 inches. No, I haven't made one 4 inches thick. Yeah, Joycey uses magazines for her journaling, but she does it different. She makes her own paper. I don't know how she does all that, but these are just painted. This is just paint. It's not like Joycey's very, she adds a lot more stuff. If I'm going to add a lot of stuff in a journal, I usually end up doing that in a, what do you call it? Dilutions. So you can see this one I kind of started doing it had a heart on there. So I kind of started doing like a Valentine theme with pink and yellow. This one has like yellow and like aqua. And then I did some stamping on there. Her own paper, Orla. If you've not watched Joycey, she turns magazine pages into her own paper to make use. You have to ask her how there's tons of ways she does it, but she will take magazine pages or like flyers, like you get, or junk mail or anything like that, and she'll doodle on it. She'll put with a stencil, she'll doodle on it and turns it into her own pattern paper, if you will. She turns it into her own pattern paper. Okay, so here we go with this. So you can just kind of see some of the things that I've painted out. This one came out again. I think I was pulling this out for some purpose, but I didn't use it. So yeah, or newspaper. Yeah, or she'll start with newspaper. I don't do all that on mine. Mine's just pretty much paint and collage. Maybe she'll show y'all today. Ask her. This one I think came loose and I taped it in. See, it doesn't matter to me. If it comes loose, I'll just tape it. Or if I've had to pull it out for something. So you can see, these are the images there. And then I just paint around them. Hey, Morgan. Yeah, and then she uses the, let me see, I have one of hers here. Then she'll use the paper. She uses the paper, like here's this little jar she made. I keep my rubber bands in one of these little, Pringle jars. So this is one of the papers. I don't know what it started as, but she's stenciled on it and then covered this can. Again, that's all I see. I don't know what else the full sheet was. So, but this is taking full magazines and turning them into journals. Glued one of those acetate things in there. So you can kind of see. I'm just going to flip through a few pages and I'll do one or something so you can see how I do it. Hey, Eileen. Good to see you. Well, it took me 45 minutes to get on Ustream this morning. And so first off, I'm just showing some of the, because I had people ask about the magazine journals that I kind of briefly just talked about on Monday. So I thought I'd just kind of show them and talk about a little bit. So again, painted, and I just drew some little eyes on there. It's just whatever. It's whatever you want to do with it. Here's one. These tags were already on there. So I painted around it and then I distressed inked the edges because there was some wood looking thing there. So I distressed all the edges to make it like, let me put something under this one because I'll prop it up so there's not a glare. There we go. So it's just, taking a magazine and making it your own. Painting out all the text, basically. You're painting out all the text. And like that's already there. That was like a title of the article. Do you have any questions? Just ask. but you can then use this for other things. And pretty much the only thing that really works well, other than like a dip nib pen, with liquid ink, is a Bic pen. Paula showed us that trick. A Bic pen will go over acrylic paint, a plain old crystal Bic pen, whereas a Sharpie will just almost immediately dry out, or it just like sucks up I don't know, it just ruins a Sharpie. So you can just kind of see, I just paint around everything. And then leave it kind of messy. In this case, you don't have to leave it messy. You could paint it really nice. Then I added a piece of collage right there on top of the spool. Bic pen. Yeah, a Bic pen. Here. Let me find one here. I got one in my, got a bunch of them, but I just got to find where they are. Where did I put them all? Hang on, guys. Okay. And they come in colors too. Bic pens. These. Plain old Bic. Yeah. And I got them in all different sizes thanks to Paula the Enabler. Oh, these are InkJoys. Okay, these are I just grabbed them just out of the bag to show you. They come in colors, and they come in more colors than these. I've given some away. Like the pink one I gave to Mom, but they come in different sizes. But that's, these. These are Bic pens. This was one of the Somerset Studio publications, the Stampington publications, Eileen, but I don't know which one. I guess if I really looked hard, I could probably find some place where it, I haven't painted over it. But I have like 6 of them and 2 magazines in each one. And this one I have 3 magazines. But that's a new one I haven't really done anything in yet. You don't know what a Bic pen... Okay, maybe somebody didn't know. I don't know. Other countries may not know what Bic pens are. I think they're called crystals, too. So you can just see different things like this. No, that was painted in. Some of it's hard to tell if it's collage or painted in because I do both. I do both. This one's just flat blue, hasn't even got any distressing on it. But let me let me bookmark this one and I'll go back in and distress this one. I'll distress that one. And here's one I just completely painted out. Okay, now these are the covers. These are the stiff covers to the second magazine. So here goes into the next one. And you can see, like the translucent yellow didn't really cover all the text. So that probably needs to be like more distressed. So let's just see here. I think then I have the back half. I started doing some front to back so that the spine would be flat. But you get the idea, I think. I think you get the idea. So you can see how I've distressed some of it with inks and my DAR inks, as I call them, the scented ones. Those work well. Or just any kind of the distress inks. Rub them on there to make it distressed. I'll do that blue page here in a minute, just so you can kind of see. They're all different. Everyone is different. Because you're just going around, you're basing your colors on the images. That one's kind of cool. And again, if I like this and want to do something with it, I would just tear this out. It doesn't bother me to deconstruct things, use journal pages or sketchbooks or anything and tear it out and use it in something else. But all this background is what I've done to the page. So it started with just text. There's like text under each one of these pictures. So you can kind of see, just kind of doing it quick here. Then here's one that's nothing done. Let's see, then it's kind of, I think I went then to the middle. So I was trying to keep the spine a little better. So, yeah. All right, let me go to that blue page here. We'll do something with this one real quick. Yeah, that's what, hey, Colleen. Yeah, that's what they are. How's your foot, Colleen? Are you still hobbling? I mean, I'm sure you will be for a few weeks. But one of the girls had surgery on her foot. Yeah, and the Somerset, these are Somerset, well, Stampington, I think, is the publisher. Somerset Studio is one of their publications, but all their magazines have a little bit thicker paper. Again, you could do this with fashion magazines, but they're going to really wrinkle really bad. Now, I guess you could glue two together. I never glue any pages together in any books. Not my composition books, not my magazine journals, none of them. And I don't gesso anything either. If I want something just covering up the background, I just use acrylic paint. That's all these are. There's no gesso. Although you could put just white acrylic paint to start, like that yellow page did not cover the text. You know, you could either gesso or just put white acrylic paint on it before you put the, but that's a lot of work. These magazines are a lot of work and a lot of time because you're talking about hundreds of pages. So, yeah, so let's go ahead and do this. Like maybe I'll use a little bit of cream. I don't know if I want to use too much red, even though there's some red in here. I think I'm going to go with cream, maybe a little red accent in it. Hopefully it's bright enough in here, guys, because it's really rainy out. Is it too bright or no, I mean, is it bright enough? Because I can brighten it some. There we go. It just depends if my hands are in there or not. Okay, let me get a couple of colors here. I think we'll go with, let's just go with a kind of a cream color. Maybe a tan and a cream. Or maybe, let's see, moon yellow. Let's go with that because it's kind of in that straw color. So I'm trying not to say that. So what I usually try to do is match up one or two of the color, three of the colors that are in whatever. So in this case, I did the background all blue because of the little blue robin egg. It's probably hard to see on camera. Well, you can see it right there a little bit. You can see the blue right there. So that's what I started with the background. And I said, I think I'm going to do a little bit of red. Just a little primary red. Maybe a touch of a brown. Let's see. And this brown, do I want dark brown or do I want like a lighter? I think I'll go with the lighter brown. And so this is just how I usually just distress the pages. All right, let me get a baby white. And a palette knife. So this is usually what I start with. Now again, I've already base coated the whole background of one color. That's usually what I start with. It's just, you know, one solid color that I pick out. Okay, thanks guys. And then I'll just pick up some paint and I'll just start scraping it. If it gets too thick or too much, then I'll go in there with the baby white. So I'm just going to put some of the cream, a little bit of the brown here and there, maybe right there, and just a touch of red here and there, like that. And I might start with that, or I might start with just one. But then I can just kind of go in here and kind of blend in the images. So I'm kind of making the images like go into the background. Might not have needed that much red. And I can still wipe it away, you know, while it's kind of wet. So I'm just kind of doing a side stroke here. So just get the images kind of blended in. See how they kind of just blend right in? But if you get too much paint while it's still wet, you know, just, you know, kind of pull some of it off there. Maybe too much red. Or if I just think there's just too much paint, you know, I can pull some off. But this is how I just get the pages started. And I can play with the, you know, blending it out or too much or too little. something like that. But what it does is it blends in the background images. I mean, it blends the images into the background. I could, go this way if I want to make it even more distressed. Let's just do a little bit more distressing here. I'm barely touching the page with the palette knife just to kind of scrape on some paint here. You just gotta kind of play. You don't worry about what you do with it. Like that. Okay. So if that's too much, you'd wipe it back while it's wet, because there's I don't have any matte medium or anything on this, so it's it's not protected from. It will, as soon as it dries, you can't get it back off, is what I'm saying. All right, so now I'm going to dry this, and then I'm going to take some ink pads to it, so you can see even more like distressing. Heat gun. Oh, it's not plugged in. But it'll take you weeks to do one of these. Yeah, I mean, if you just constantly worked on it day in and day out, but if you just want to, play with some colors and some paint, which that's my purpose of these, then, it just depends on how often you work in it. But it gives you a base to then go on to do other things. You don't even have to really necessarily keep 100% of the image. Like that. And then let me get a couple of I'll bring some ink pads over here to the side. So I'll just bring I got an ink tray. Let's see what I want to do. Maybe some pink. I think it's strawberry. These are some of the ink pads. Dara's still here. No, I don't think. Yeah, she's still here. She gave me all the set of the Ranger scented ink pads. And I've used them, so I can't even promise you that this is going to work. They might be totally worn out. But now what I'll do is there we go. I'll just kind of go over it. See that? Maybe around the edges. I'm barely touching, but it will give me some more distressing. And this can be, you can do this with any of your distressy inky pads, But there you go. I see a face there. Sunglasses. So we'll do another one. And you can also do brown, put more brown on there. You could splatter, like with some dark brown or black. Let's just go with black because it's just handy here. Get a little black paint. My water. Water down some. A soft brush. Water down and do some splattering. I mean, these are all just the same, your same usual mixed media techniques. Hang on, I gotta get my water. Okay, let me dry that. Takes a minute to dry splatters because they're a little thicker, you know. And I don't care if they kind of, you know, let's just smash them together. Help them dry a little quicker. So anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. That's just, you know, then you can do whatever you want on top. You can go on to make it into an art journal. So there you go. And don't think there's any questions because it's pretty self-explanatory. All right. So you can see it's different. This one I used blue ink around it. Let's add a little brown ink just so you can kind of see. Let's see. Some form of brown ink. One of these. It's showing up a little. Do it more. You want to start one too? Thanks. Yeah, it's fun to do them. Here's one with some purple. It's just any color. You can start with any color as your base. The background. All right, so let me go into another one. Let me move this over here. Again, I'll tell you the magazines that I used in this one because this is new. So let's see what magazine. Okay, was this? No, that was just an ad for art quilting. What one was this one? I think this one. This one I think was a Somerset Life, or it was one of those studio gallery. That's what it is. Here it is right here. Gallery, where it was like a year long. Encapsulation, if you will, of a whole bunch of Somerset Studio publications all in one. And so you can see I haven't done anything in this one yet. It's one that I haven't done. And in the back one, what's this one? Probably the same thing. Yeah, it's another gallery. So it's just two, and here's where I glued them together. Okay, so it's a real stiff page in the middle. So that is just one that hasn't had anything done in it yet. Yeah, I like, and then again, like you were just saying, some of them look old and medieval. Well, then you can add your own collage elements. And then you can also, if you are a journaler that likes to journal in your art journals, then you just use a Bic pen because that will go over acrylic. I'm not one to journal much. I've done a few in here just for samples and things, but I'm not really a journaler. I don't write out my journaling in an art journal. I do that in other books, like I talked about on Monday. Yeah, there you go too. And I might have even added one of the Somerset Digital ones in. I don't know, Eileen. I don't remember. There were magazines I was done with. I was going to throw away. So, and of course I could not possibly keep them all. But I tried to keep a few, you know, glue a few together to end up like this. All right, let's write on this. Let's just say, with the Bic pen, let me make sure it's working. I didn't want to get an empty one. You probably won't be able to see it. But Paula got us started. I'm going to write kind of big. I don't write, that's another thing, I don't write big. Paula got us started. Maybe I should get one of the big, thick ones. Let me get the thicker one. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to go back over this. Paula got us started using Crystal Bix over acrylic paint. See, it writes perfectly fine over it. And it's just smooth as glass. So, yeah, that's what these work well. And this is the 1.6, which, oh, it's T. Did I spell it wrong? Yeah, there's no Y. I think they put it I. They spell it Cristal. But they're Bic. Bic is the brand. And I mean, we grew up with these were the kind of pens we used in school that me and Eileen used. These are the kind of pens me and no, wait, Eileen probably used fountain pens. These are expensive. These are expensive where you are, Paula. I mean, I must have missed something. Something's more expensive. It's not these. These aren't expensive. I don't know. Maybe Eileen ran out of the room. Hi, Sandy. Hey, Robin. Uh, so there's a lag in chat, so I have to wait for the jokes that I tell to get a laugh, like 30 seconds. It's kind of like ruins the punchline when you tell a joke and you know you're not going to get a laugh for at least 30 seconds. Yeah, they're cheap there too. Okay. But anyway, so Paula was the one that told you, because like I said, I'm not much to write over acrylic paint. If I journal, literally writing journal, it's going to be in a journal, for like a Moley, okay? Or now it's my Adorables. But she's the one that has, told us that these Bics crystals will write over acrylic without any problem. Oh, the Somerset magazines, yeah, they are expensive. They're like $15. And I gotta say, well, I'm not gonna diss on them. I have their collection for their first since 1995 or 6 when they first came out. 94. Anyway, I have years and years of the collection. But for me, they're all starting to look the same. So I just kind of quit buying them. I mean, they're great if you've never bought any of the Somerset Studio magazines or the Art Journal magazines. They're awesome, But for me, they all just started looking the same. So I started gluing them together and painting over them. Just an idea to use with when you're done with them. And it doesn't have to be these it can be it doesn't have to be art magazines is what I'm saying. They can be the home and garden, gardening magazines, cooking magazines. You can just turn, any type of magazine that have images that you like. If you're a gardener, you're going to like gardening magazines. You might like, cooking magazines, flower magazines, just all about flowers or any topic. And those are just randomly coming to my head. They are, right, Eileen? Anyway, but they are awesome, especially for, image, like this. And it's just, just to make your own little art journal thing with. But those do write over everything, like Paula said. They do write over everything. Okay, what was I going to do next? Oh, another page. Okay. Oh, I was going to show you the other book. Okay, so the other book that I have, pretty much a lot done in and again, I glue the pages together, the front and back covers together, and in this case, I duct taped it just to give it extra strength. And again, I wasn't careful about going front to back, front and back, front and back. If you don't want this to happen, you have to go front and back on your initial pages, on your initial painting of the pages, so that doesn't warp, because the wetness of the paint is warping it. So if you just go straight from front to back like that, it's going to warp. But I put duct tape on this one. This one has clear packing tape, and this is just some scrapbook paper that already had like a coating on it. You know, it already has like a gloss finish to this scrapbook paper. And then I just added some washi tape and then put a packing tape, clear packing tape over it for this spine. This spine just has clear packing tape, and this one has duct tape. So it just kind of gives it more oomph, holds it together better. So, yeah, Paula did a small, I don't know if you're starting with this, talking about the same one. Paula did a small fashion UK. It was 6x8, she said. It was a small one, and she's had that one for a long time too. How long? I mean, well, forever. But she art journaled in a small fashion magazine. But I don't remember how thick the pages were, Paula. Were they thin, like American fashion magazines? Because American fashion magazines are really cheap. You can get a nice, big, thick Vogue or, you know, something like that for like $5.99. But the paper is like, you know, wafer thin, you know. So, yeah. Any magazines. I just glue two together. Avon catalogs. Yeah, and like I said, Joycey has done all kinds of, I don't know if what makes like books. She more makes things out of the paper. Like an Avon catalog or a flyer or a newspaper, and she paints them and makes her own paper. Yeah, Eileen's her AARP magazines. There you go, Eileen. You're so funny. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's see what I got in here. Some of these I have. All right, like this page right here. That was already on there. The Lively Art of Lettering. That was in this magazine. But you can see this one I've stenciled, splattered, and painted. So you don't have to stop with just the painting. Here's a stencil here. That's a stencil here. This is a napkin. This is a decorative napkin. So you can do that. You can turn it into a real, like your regular art journal. Yeah, Jean did she even stream on Monday, or she said she was going to be, I didn't make it on this last Monday. I didn't know that she was actually using a magazine journal for her Nano Journal. Is that how you say it? When you have more than one magazine, do you have to go front and back for each the whole bunch? Yeah, like from front here to back here, then here, and then here, Rain. Yeah, back and forth. Because this is what happens. It warps the spine if you just go front to back. See, when I got to that second magazine, it started warping. It doesn't bother me because it's a junky journal anyway, and puffy and wrinkly, and I don't care about that so much, but some people that would bother, and so I just want to like clarify that. Yeah, and that's another thing too, Linda. Linda was talking about like stamp magazines or catalogs. That would be excellent. I haven't done one of those. Let's see if I can put my hands on one, on my old ones. Let's see. Let's see where I put them. I don't know when I cleaned everything up, I might have taken those downstairs with all my scrapbook stuff. But yeah, old stamp, where they show the images, that would be a fun one to play with. All right, let's see what else. And that's one that's not done. So some of them are just like, started like this. This one's stenciled. This one's more distressed. Again, it's all the same thing as just like what I just showed you. Smear and paint, palette knife, inking. Yeah, the leopard page, that was a napkin. Your decorative napkins. You'll know what I mean. You know what I mean, Vern? Let me grab, like this here. Your decorative napkins like this. Just peel them apart and use them like you would a paper. And who was it that showed the tip for using tape? Somebody showed the tip for using tape to pull apart the napkins. So like that. Isn't that awesome? Just the tape pulls the napkin. I don't know if this one, I think this might have another layer. Let's see if it's got another layer. This one might not have 2 layers. I can't tell. Yeah, there it goes. See? The tape just pulls the layer right off. I forget who told me or where I saw that. Jean. Okay, it was Jean. Okay, I didn't remember where I saw it. Yeah. So like this. Then you can use bits of it or parts of it or the corners of it. And add this to your journal. I like to tear better, more than cut, because then when you put the paint over it, it blends better. And I don't really want it on this page. We'll see if we can find a page where that would be cool looking, Always listen to Jean. I only saw, I gotta say, Paul, on your show last Saturday, I only watched a few minutes of the front and I had to speed through it because I didn't have time that day to watch the whole thing. But I didn't want to miss it. I wanted to see the finished thing. So I didn't see the, whatever it is you listened to Jean about on your show. This one had book arts on it. I try to, I how many streams we all try to keep up with. Catalog. I wish everybody that's watching the recording could see the live chat. It's just too fun. Okay, so I have a bunch of painted ones that I just started with white paint. And then let's see here. This one, I'm trying to see. I'm just kind of flipping through and seeing some of the ones that I've actually got something on. So then you can write in them, journal in them, or just collage in them, whatever. Taking layers of napkin apart with tape. Oh, yeah, yeah. Listen to Jean. So I guess this kind of explains all this. If y'all have any questions, let me put something under to prop that up so there's not a glare. Do y'all have any questions on this segment? Because I did have questions on it, so I just wanted to kind of show you how you can use these magazines, no matter what kind they are. Like I said, it can be a gardening, a cooking, a home and garden, a decorating, house decorating, room decorating, architect magazine. If like JJ has fish, it could be a fish magazine. It could be a cat magazine, a dog magazine. It could be any kind of magazine. It could be a watch magazine. It could be any kind of magazine. Whatever you just like to look at. This is my stamp, a carved stamp here. That's that's a stamp there with my carved stamp. In that's stencil in the background, washi tape around the edges. Let's see what else. This one is a stencil, a leaf stencil all over that. Oh, this was one where somebody said to draw your hand. So I stuck my hand. That's actually my hand. I put my hand out like this and drew it. So anyway, and then you can also doodle around things. You know, you could take even, your, what do you call those, portfolios? Hang on, let me pull those out. Let's see what drawer they're in. What drawer are my portfolios? Hang on, I gotta see what drawer they're in. Where did I put my portfolios? One moment. They gotta be over here. It's one of these bigger drawers, I think. Where are my portfolios? Ah, here we go. So I have boxes of these old portfolios. Y'all know these. Get them at Staples. You know these. They're like water-soluble, waxy crayons. Well, I don't really use them anymore now that I got my Neo colors. But these are awesome for like, if you don't want to just, I don't want to say waste your Neo colors, but these are awesome for working in an art journal like this. That's just kind of like play. Where you can do whatever on these and then smear them because they'll blend just like a wax, like a oil pastel, but you could also add water and they'll let me just put a little water on there. You can blend them with water, you can blend them with water. So these are awesome for just playing in these journals like this. So you can see mine would have been well loved, well used. Yeah. Bless their hearts. Yeah, I do. I like the portfolios. They're awesome. Now this is wet, really wet now that I sprayed it. So let me get a Kleenex or something. It's kind of because I sprayed it because that was the only water I had handy. Let's get the excess off and then I'll dry it real quick. Now the portfolios, as far as I have ever known, the only place I've ever seen them or found, of course you can probably buy them on Amazon, you can buy everything on Amazon, is Staples. And 24 of them are like, what were they? $9 when I bought them. You could, and there's, they last forever. And they're water soluble. That's why, and blendable. They're smearable. Like there's a black, so you can see it better. Look, see how they smear really well? See? Oh, it looks like a little seahorse. So, is there any questions on these journals? Let's see if I got some more finished looking pages. Drew a flower on that one. Drew a bird on that one. We put a bird on it. That's a saying we have. If you don't know what to do, put a bird on it. Drew that. These were already there in the book, so just add your own drawing to it. Thanks. Hey, Renee. So you can see, I like this. This one's like really messy cool. Stencils, stamps. There's a whole bunch of little butterflies up there I stamped. That's stencil. Then here's the covers. So again, I covered the covers with some scrapbook paper. Here I reinforced it with some, what kind of tape is that? the tan tape. For some reason, the name is escaping me. Let's see. So I did a whole bunch of these one time on a stream. I think I did a challenge. I think I forget how long the stream was. It 3 hours? But I tried to do as many. I think we did a whole magazine in 3 hours. Maybe it wasn't three, maybe it was longer. But we base coated and started doing some, this is just with a brush, and it was either a brush or a nib. I can't remember. I think it might have been a nib. And just wrote, some words on them just to play with. But I think we did pretty much a whole book. I got a whole bunch of writing on some of these. So I'm going to kind of pass there with some of those. But we did a bunch of masking tape. Thanks, Rain. How does somebody forget the masking tape? Masking tape. Hello, Cable Claire. So I'm just kind of flipping through some of my magazine journals. So this is the only image that I kept, and then all the rest is paint. And then the word, put the word on there ourselves. I say ourselves because if I'm doing a live stream and y'all are here, it's like we did it together. Some kind of an Alice in Wonderland something. Here's one where we painted out all the background, just left it white. I think it went with another Alice in Wonderland theme thing here. Hey, Miss Allie. So anyway, guys, oh, now that's stuck together. That's the ink right there. The ink stuck. I must not have let it dry before I closed it. Gotta let these things dry. Some mom, I don't know. Maybe it was Mother's Day the day we did that. I don't know. Oh, so anyway, there's a couple more back here that are done. So you can just take and paint out anything you want, and then I think I drew these. This was some kind of a little barn or something, and I made it into a windmill. Drew all that on there myself. So don't feel like you can't change anything. We put a tree over this one. Just drew an ink tree right over the top of that one. So this girl had a girl there with stars around her. So just wrote out the word dreams with a pen. So anyway, guys, that's kind of how it works. You just kind of play with block, like negative space. Negative space it out. And then just play on the page. So there we go. So that is the magazine journal explanation. So I'm going to save that as a separate video because I had a whole bunch of people asking me about it and how it looked and worked. And unless I have any questions on that, I'll stop this recording and start another one so that's kind of like its own video. So no questions? Okay. Well, everybody here has seen me do those, so it's not like, or pretty much everybody. So I'm going to stop this. I'm going to start another recording doing some prompts. And so just give me 1 second and we will, and if you're watching a recording, thanks for watching. If y'all have any questions on the magazine journals, just leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them for you. Either coordinate or match the colors in the images. And what that does is it gives you a full cohesive page to journal on or even work on more collage or whatever else you want to do further, but it gives you it makes you start to think about color combinations and color trying to match the colors that are in the images just to kind of color play, basically. That's what I like these for. And I haven't worked in them for quite a while, probably at least a year, because I've just been doing other art projects. But I have had requests for showing these a little bit and explaining them. Now, because every page will end up being painted, I did pull something out here, or maybe it just came loose. Every page is pretty much painted. So when you do that, oh, I see what it is. I had this torn out for something and then I taped it back in. I don't know. No, don't ask why I deconstructed this one. But what I wanted to say is if you work in one of these where you're painting every single page, you need to work some in the front, some in the back, some in the front, some in the back, so that your spine does not warp. This one, I really kind of just went front to back, and you can see what happens to the spine. It will warp like that, and you really never can get it back, no matter how much you smash it down and put books on top of it. It's really not ever going to get back. Not that that matters to me so much, because it's just a play-in. But if that kind of thing bothers you, you need to do some paint in the front and some in the back, so that it kind of gets wet at the same rate, front and back, and then you won't get that warped spine. This one, it did it a little bit on this one. You can see there. But if you don't want that, again, now this one is just kind of pretty new. This one has 3 magazines in it, so this one will end up probably being about that thick in the end because they puff up. The pages are going to puff up, and so those 3 magazines will probably double. And so it'll be real puffy, which I like that. I don't mind that. But if you don't want the spine to warp, work some in the front, some in the back. Now, that's just to paint the pages. If you've got your pages painted and then you want to actually use it for a journal or sketching in or something like that, it doesn't matter about, you can start from the front and work your way to the back. But the initial painting of the pages, you really need to go front, back for them that to happen. So just want to explain that real quick. And I glued 2 together. The back cover of one to the front cover of the other. And I've done that with multiple magazine things. So this is a pretty new one here. And that's all it is. It's 2 magazines of your, like if you're a gardener, you might pick 2 gardening magazines, flower magazines, fashion magazines. Although the fashion magazines are very, very thin. You can still do this, but your pages will probably really wrinkle because it is very thin. It's the other magazines that have, and they're not like, it's not like extra quality paper or anything, but it's better than just the fashion magazines, which usually tend to have the cheapest, thinnest pages, which is great if you're doing collage. Those thin pages are great to collage. But what I'm doing with these is like painting, and you can even journal in them if you want with like a Bic pen over the acrylic paint. So what it is, you just glue 2 together of any kind of choice of magazine as you like. And what you do is, let me find a good sample one, is you paint around, maybe this one. You paint around the images that are on there with colors that this one's getting pretty full, so I have another half roll here. So if we do some prompts, I'll just start that one. But I've had some questions on the magazine journal, so hopefully the lighting is okay. It's okay, I guess. On the magazine journals that I talked about the other day. If y'all have any questions, put them, prompts. If y'all have any questions, put them in caps so that I can catch those. But anyway, so these were some of the magazine journals. I just pulled 3 of them here. This is the one I sort of showed a little bit the other day. And all it is, so let me just kind of explain, you can get, it doesn't have to be 2 magazines. I've glued 2 together, and you can see, I'll tell you the trick about not having this happen. But you can glue 2 magazines together. I like the Somerset, or the the Somerset Studio publication people, Stampington. They have like 20 different magazines. They have stamping ones, art, journaling, Somerset Studio, bloggers, home ones, and handbags, and they have like all kinds. And so I just have two. I picked two that I had around and that I didn't need or want anymore. Okay, there we go. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee and Art in a rainy ATL day, which might be better for my lighting situation. So I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do. I think we might just pull out the prompt jar and draw some things, or I don't know. I have my big, scrolls here where we played in these with just prompts. If y'all have been around for these, this is just one of the ones where we just kind of like brainstormed ideas, drew a little bit, played with some ink, played with some stamping with the foam, made our own stamp with the not fun foam, but those foam blocks. Let's see what else. One of the prompts was draw a selfie, drew some little ladybugs. This was one of Jean's lists that we started. I blame Jean for all that. I blame Jean for everything. These were some quick little, I think I did these with thumb prints and then made little faces out of them. We did some wax crayon, so you're seeing that through. This is melted crayon. And just drew a little folded paper. So this is just a little bit of everything in here. And so